Okay, so as was pointed out, we need to change this from 108B. And when you see how it kind of copies it along, this needs to be what? 109B, not 108B. All right. So that's appreciate that. That's 109B. And these are secure, right? And that's all we're going to call them right now. Secure. Because at times, and I'll pause the video just for a minute so we can discuss. So now that we've got all of our spaces pretty much labeled, now we have an opportunity where we can start scheduling, right? But before we start scheduling, let's think of something else that we may have missed. Another auxiliary space. We have kitchens, break rooms, we have coolers, we have a laundry room, we have a linens room for storing the clean linens for the residents. But what about people who have to clean this place, right? Don't they need somewhere to have buckets and cleaning supplies? So this is thinking through a program too, even though that's not part of the project because we're not actually doing a project. Is there an opportunity perhaps to steal some space out of this laundry room and out of this linen room for that and make them auxiliary rooms to what? To the corridors that they are off of. That way we don't have to put another number in there that keeps taking our number count higher. So how would we do this? I'm going to click this generic wall. If you notice, all these walls are generic right now. And I'm going to hit create similar. Remember that? And I'm going to come over here and I'm going to click that. And then I'm going to grab a temporary dimension, or I'm going to put an actual dimension from the face of this wall. See that wall faces here to here? That's 4, 8 1/4. I know I only need that to be right at about 4 foot, or even 3 foot 6 would have done, right? Why do I know that? Well, first of all, watch this. I'm going to put a door on this room. I'm going to hit create similar, and I'm going to put that door right here on the, I'm sorry, right here, right off that wall. And I'm going to turn that dimension to 2 foot 6, my temporary dimension, right? In the back of this room, I'm going to go to insert, load family, and I'm going to come all the way down here to plumbing, and I'm going to go to the MEP feature, and then I'm going to go to fixtures, and then I'm going to go to sinks, and I'm going to grab this mop sink, right? And hit open. I'm going to let it load, go to architecture, component, place a component. That should be the next one that's in here. While it's here, I'm going to hit the space bar once, the space bar again, and I'm going to place it right in that corner, right? Before I label that room, watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to click this. I'm going to hold down the control key and click this and click this. And then I'm going to say mirror this about the middle of my facility right here. And let's see. It pops right up on the other side. So this is very helpful because I can draw the room here, put it on the other side, and I know it's the same size, okay? Now the next thing I want to do is label those. They're off corridor 112, right? So if I grab a room line, a room tag, and I click this, we don't necessarily call these a janitor's closet. We can call this ENVIR for environmental, okay? And now I see that. I want to change that to 112A. Same thing over here. I want to, you see I didn't put the room in there first so it didn't change the count on me, right? Or change the numerical portion of it on me. So I'm going to click this here. It says, do you want that to be 112B? I say, no, I want it to be 113A. And I want to change that to environmental. Okay, that's what we call those rooms typically in facilities. Now I could look at the process of beginning to schedule. All right, so I'm going to save first, and then I'm going to create my first schedule. How do we create a schedule? Well, if I come down here, notice it says schedule quantities. If I right click and I say new schedule quantities, it's asking me what kind of schedule do I want. So you can see there's schedules for all sorts of things. I'm going to scroll down, or if I simply hit R on my keyboard, it takes me down to rooms. I'm putting a room schedule together now. I'm going to hit OK. Now under here, it's asking me what information do you want about your rooms in this thing. So let's go down the list and think of some things that we may want. And we'll pause the video while we'll do this, okay? So we discussed, for the moment, we're going to use the following. We're going to start with name and number. And look what it says here. It says add parameters, and it adds them. Some other things I might want to know about these rooms for later is what? Area, how big they are, right? I may want to know, since I'm only a single story, I don't need to know level, right? I don't need to know what level they're on. But I also might want to know their volume. And if I'm an interiors person, the what? The wall finish might be helpful. In addition, the floor finish would be helpful, right? So we can start seeing some things that would be helpful. And ceiling finish might be helpful. But if I decided I didn't need it, guess what? I can click the red and say remove that parameter. So I'm going to leave ceiling in there right now, even though we don't have ceilings, but I wanted you to see how we could do that. And look at this. We could create a new parameter for something we wanted to talk about. Like we could add a parameter in the schedule for something like, I don't know, auxiliary spaces that aren't occupied, right? Because all of our spaces aren't occupied. Think about this. Think about our freezer and walk-in cooler. Those aren't occupiable spaces except by the steaks and the salad, right? On one side or the other. So we don't need to schedule everything. So once we hit OK, right? It pops us up our schedule and it gives us every single one of our rooms, what the name of the room is, what the number, what the area of that room is, but we have not computed the volume at this time. Now, we're not going to worry about that. That's for a separate lesson. And one of the reasons is because we don't have a roof on the building yet, people. So we're not going to know that. So I don't want you to worry about that. But you can see how now those things are what? They're in the schedule. Now, let's test something. Let's see if I click on here. You see my entry is called an entry, but what if I went in the room schedule and in here I clicked on that and I tried to change the name of it? What if I wanted to change the name of the entry to entry main, right? And if I go back here, looky there, it changes the name of it for me. So it goes back to what we talked about. We know that corridors, all of our what? All of our corridors that are on the west side of the building, right? Corridor what? 106, 112, and 114 are all what? They are corridors, but we could use a fancier name for them if we wanted to, right? We could call them circulation if we wanted, so we could change the name to that. You don't have to do that here. However, if I go back to my schedule, 106, 112, and 114, so 106, so I can put corridor west on here, all right? 106, 112, and 114. And look, now that it's there, I can say this is also corridor west. And then, did I miss one? I think I missed 110, right? Let's go back to the plan. I missed 110, so that's corridor, but that's not west. Corridor 110 and 111 are central. Let me go back, and I'm sorry, I'm going to fix this as well before I forget to fix this. There you go. That's for you, Sarah. I went ahead and fixed that. All right, so I've got corridor west, west, west. Now I want corridor east, right? So now I can go back to my schedule. I can change them here as well. So let's go the other way. All right, corridor east. All right. And if I go back to my room schedule, now I see I've got corridor east. Those popped in. How about 110 and 111? How about if I call that corridor core? Those are the core corridors of the building, in the center of the building. Okay, and I go back to my level 1, and there they are, and they are very similar in square footage. Okay, so now we've learned not only how to put our rooms, room separation lines, we also have our room schedules. Okay, and after this we're just going to look at one last video, some optional things that I'll give you to explore, and then we'll wrap up.